Exercise 5-1 is just a basic isometric drawing. This is right here is basically a picture of what this looks like in the book, and we're going to use the 4 assignments this week to talk really about the basics of isometric drafting. Now, one thing that I want to make clear up front is that isometric drafting is not three-dimensional drafting. We are doing a three-dimensional representation of a 2D object, and we're doing it two-dimensionally. If this was our front view, we're going to see that everything that corresponds to the front view is along this 30-degree axis. Everything that corresponds to our right side view is going to be done at this 30-degree axis. The top view is just going to be the top view as it normally would be. So let's take a look at how we would draw this one. I know that my line across the front is 1.5, so I'm going to snap to that 30-degree tracking vector that I have, and I'm going to type 1.5. Then it goes up 1.5. Notice that any width type dimensions are along that 30 degrees, but the height type dimensions are straight up. Then it comes over 0.75, down 0.75, back out 0.75, and then closes off. Now I want to create this line right here, so I'm going to go along this 30-degree axis, and that is going to be 1.5. Now, what I have here is I have my front face and the beginnings of the right side. Well, since this thing is the same on the front side and the back side, what I can do now is copy each of these lines from here to here. And what that gives me is it gives me the profile for this side. I can then just draw lines to fill this in. And you can see this object now looks like the picture in the book. So I'm going to go ahead and erase the picture of the book so that we can work with this one a little bit more. What I want to do now is center this. And just like previously, I'm going to go from the highest point and the rightmost point, the lowest point and the leftmost point, and I'm going to draw a diagonal line. And then we will have another diagonal line that crosses our border. Now I can move all of this from the midpoint of the small line to the midpoint of the big line, and now I have a centered isometric drawing, so I can get rid of all of my reference geometry. Now I need to go to the dimension layer, and the dimensions for this object are going to look kind of weird at first, but once you get used to seeing it, it won't be as bad. So what I need to do is I need to do aligned dimensions. So it's DAL for aligned dimension. The reason for the aligned dimension is so that it actually picks up the correct distances. So there we have our 0.75 there and our 0.75 here. Now I'm not concerned at all about the placement yet, because there is something else that I have to do before I can go any further. On my Annotate tab, in my section for dimensions, if I click on this little drop down right here, I have a button. This button is called oblique. When I click on this button, it's going to ask me to select a dimension or select objects. I will pick this one right here. And you can follow the book for this week, but as time progresses, you're going to want to go a little bit more to what you're used to, or have to figure these out a little bit more on your own. But after I select that object, I can right click. Now it wants me to enter the obliquing angle. Well, the book has it coming out at the 30 degrees this way, so what I can do is I can just click 2 points that represent that angle, and what it does is it sets it out to be oblique. Now I can go right back into that command, click on this dimension. I want this dimension at this angle, oblique this dimension along this angle, and oblique along this angle. Now that I have everything obliqued, now I can clean it up a little bit, and I can make the endpoints match up here. I can move this 0.75 so that it's on the other side, perhaps a little bit clearer and easier to understand. Same with this one right here. I can pull that out of the way and then line up these two dimensions. So with the obliquing, these dimensions are now set up on an isometric plane. So this is what you're going to be doing for this week's assignments. This is exercise 5-1, and I'm going to post videos for 5.3, 5.5, and 5.7 as well. But this is what your final product should look like when you turn in 5-1. One view, isometric, with dimensions, obliqued, everything on the correct layers. There are no hidden lines in isometric drawings.